Antonio Mora. This is the newsandnews.com Day in Brief on Thursday, February 28th at about 7 p.m. Unorthodox behavior sometimes works in international negotiations, but holding a summit with the leader of a rogue regime without having at least some agreements in place beforehand is foolhardy. By walking away, President Trump did avoid the worst-case scenario foreseen by some experts on North Korea. That desperation for a victory on the world stage would lead him to make big concessions in exchange for only empty promises from Kim Jong-un. But Secretary of State Pompeo and National Security Advisor Bolton reportedly told Trump the North Koreans weren't ready to deal. So why would Trump insist on overruling his top international officials and fly all the way to Vietnam to leave empty-handed? Not only that, but North Korea disputed Trump's portrayal of the summit, claiming Kim had offered a realistic proposal to denuclearize and had not demanded a complete removal of sanctions. The Hermit Kingdom struck a pessimistic tone, saying Kim may have lost the will to reach an agreement and that the U.S. is, quote, missing an opportunity that comes once in 1,000 years. Are there serious negotiations, or was the whole summit a charade for both leaders' domestic purposes? Kim again saw his stature enhanced at home by going toe-to-toe with the President of the United States, and Trump managed to distract a bit from the multiple investigations against him. At least they're talking. The decades-old tensions on the Korean Peninsula have eased a bit, and for now, at least, the rogue regime is not testing missiles or nukes. One final point. Why does Trump continue to defend indefensible despots? Incredibly, he said that he believed Kim when the dictator said he was not aware of the mistreatment of American Otto Warmbier, who died shortly after his release from a North Korean prison. Think about it, Mr. Trump. People get killed in horrendous ways when they cross Kim. So do you really think any Korean official would have mistreated an American without the dictator knowing? Give me a break. You're not that naive. We likely won't hear what Michael Cohen said today behind closed doors to the House Intelligence Committee, but in Wednesday's public testimony, he'd already accused his former friend and boss of a litany of crimes, in addition to being a racist, a con man, a cheat. Leaving today's hearing, Cohen said he'd be back to further testify in March. A House intelligence aide also said the panel will interview Alan Weisselberg, the Trump Organization's chief financial officer. Trump today attacked his former fixer and congressional Democrats for holding what he called a fake hearing with a proven liar. Of course, Trump is selective when it comes to Cohen's lies. He was fine with Cohen saying there was no collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign, asking, quote, why didn't he lie about that too? The Democrats were quite happy to have Cohen accuse Trump of crimes and horrible behavior, despite the fact that Cohen had lied to them before and is a convicted felon. Republicans did nothing other than attack Cohen and his credibility without defending Trump on the substance of the allegations. That continued to be the strategy today when House Republicans referred Cohen to the Justice Department for perjury. They claim he lied again in Wednesday's hearing about a whole series of issues, including his interest in working for the Trump administration. The New York Times late this afternoon is reporting that Trump ordered his former chief of staff, John Kelly, to grant his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, a top-secret security clearance, overruling intelligence officials and White House counsel Don McGahn. Kelly and McGahn both reportedly wrote memos detailing their concerns. That would contradict Trump's statement that he had no role in Kushner's security clearance. The new day is just about dawning now on the Indian subcontinent, where we are seeing the worst conflict between India and Pakistan in decades. Recent developments in the disputed Kashmir region have taken the nuclear-armed rivals to the brink of war. Both countries claim that they shot down each other's planes, and Pakistan captured an Indian pilot and paraded him on TV. Prime Minister Imran Khan said the pilot would be released Friday as a peace gesture, which might help diffuse tensions. But fresh fighting has reportedly erupted along the border, with both sides claiming casualties. The conflict heated up when a Pakistani-based terrorist group carried out a suicide bombing 2 weeks ago that killed dozens of Indian soldiers. India then retaliated by bombing inside Pakistan. Republican Susan Collins has joined Democrat Tom Udall in introducing the Senate's version of legislation to overturn Trump's declaration of an emergency along the Mexican border. Both senators said this is not about the wall or Trump. Instead, Collins said it is about the Constitution, whether, quote, we want the executive branch now or in the future to hold the power that the founders deliberately entrusted to Congress. 40 days before Israelis will vote in a national election, the country's Attorney General announced his decision to indict Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on bribery and corruption charges. In one case, he's accused of accepting illicit gifts in exchange for political favors. In two others, he's accused of using his power illegally in order to get favorable news coverage. Netanyahu would become Israel's longest-serving prime minister if he's elected to his fourth consecutive term. After hearing the news, Netanyahu cut short a trip to Moscow, where he was meeting with Vladimir Putin, and slammed the charges as ridiculous and, following his friend Trump, a witch hunt. Two congressmen, one a Republican, one a Democrat, have introduced legislation asking the U.S. intelligence community to disclose Vladimir Putin's finances and report on Kremlin corruption. Putin officially earns little more than $100,000 a year, but even the lowest estimates are that he's a multi-billionaire. The Kremlin responded by saying that this is just more American Russophobic bias. A U.S. resolution asking the UN Security Council to push for democratic elections in Venezuela and to allow the country's starving population to access humanitarian aid was approved by the necessary votes, but Russia and China vetoed it. They hypocritically argued that they are concerned that the resolution would lead to unjust intervention in Venezuelan affairs. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. Russia and China have heavily intervened in Venezuela themselves, along with their Cuban allies. Their efforts in co-opting Venezuela's military are almost single-handedly allowing Venezuelan dictator Nicolás Maduro to remain in power. Multiple Oscar-winning composer Andrei Previn has died, a successful jazz pianist as well. He later focused on classical music and became the conductor of major orchestras around the world, including the Los Angeles Philharmonic. His private life was somewhat scandalous. He was married 5 times, including to Mia Farrow and renowned violinist Anne-Sophie Mutter, who was 35 years his junior. His adopted daughter is Sonia Previn, whom he disavowed after she married Woody Allen, her mother Mia Farrow's boyfriend. Andrei Previn was 89. Finally, one of baseball's biggest stars, Bryce Harper, has reportedly signed a 13-year, $330 million deal with the Philadelphia Phillies, making him the highest paid player ever. For some perspective, that's almost $70,000 a day, about twice what the median American makes in a year. We have all those stories and much more updated around the clock 7 days a week on newsandnews.com, where you will find all you need to know in one place. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the right of your screen just below this video, and please follow us on Facebook at Real News and News, and me on Twitter at AMoraTV. I'll see you again tomorrow.